The views expressed, opinions given, and any communication made between the hosts and guests of What Are You Afraid of Horror and Paranormal show do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Para X Radio, EMC Network, or all services that play this show. The hosts and services are not responsible for the actions of their guests, and the original rights of all intellectual property is retained by the creator, and all work is used with either permission or Creative Commons license. The show is for entertainment purposes only. I'm horror author T. Fox Dunham.
And I'm horror author and filmmaker Phil Thomas.
And tonight we're asking you,
what are you afraid of? Philadelphia's horror home with hosts T. Fox Dunham and Phil Thomas.
From T. Fox Dunham, Phil Thomas, and all the cast and friends here at What Are You Afraid of Horror and Paranormal show, congratulations, Eagles, on a game well played. We're Philadelphia, and we're coming for you. So, Phil, what do you think? Is there intelligent life in the universe?
I believe there's a very good possibility.
Very good possibility?
Yes, very good possibility. I mean, if you think about how expansive it is, you know, the odds of there being something out there are pretty high, I think.
Right, yeah.
You know, I mean, is it plausible that we're the only planet to support life?
Support life, yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, we don't know.
Right.
We've seen sightings,
Mm-hmm.
UFOs, people have seen them,
Yes.
captured things in the sky
Mm-hmm.
that can't be explained. It's like, how do you explain it?
Right,
You know?
right.
So if you can't be explained, then what the heck is it? How about you? Do you think there's...
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Well, there is intelligent life in the universe. It's right here.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And if it's right here,
yeah.
Obviously if the conditions were met again,
Right.
it's got to be somewhere. People always say, is there intelligent life in the universe? Well, yeah, there is.
Right.
We've proven it. We exist. Well, I don't know if it's intelligent life. What's the old saying? Scotty, beam me up. There's no intelligent life.
yeah.
You know, the old Star Trek.
You know what I always thought? Like maybe like on the other side of the sun, like in the same distance we are from it, maybe there's something there.
Like Mondas.
Like a planet, yeah.
That's a Doctor Who thing.
Okay.
In Doctor Who, Earth had a twin.
Oh.
And in fact, one of the original terms for the Earth was Mondas.
Okay.
But this planet had twin humans on it, but it pulled away from the sun, and the further it went out into the solar system, the harsher conditions became. And thus the people on that planet began to replace their body parts with cybernetic implants.
Interesting.
Until eventually the pain became so bad that they started removing their emotions.
Oh, wow.
And once that happened, they just wanted to turn everyone else into Cybermen.
Oh, God. Oh, man.
And thus a Doctor Who villain was born. You know, my favorite, by the way.
You're a huge Doctor Who fan, right?
Oh, huge Doctor Who fan. Yeah, I'm really excited. We got a woman doctor.
Yeah.
Jodie Whittaker. Yeah, she's going to be amazing. Our first female doctor.
Nice.
Fans are going crazy. They either love it or they hate it.
Yep. I think it's time.
It is time, yeah.
I mean, this show's been on for how long?
Over 50 years.
Yeah, over 50 years, right?
Yeah.
So I would say it's time.
The longest running science fiction show in the world.
Wow.
It is.
Wow. What year did it start?
That would be the year Kennedy was shot,
Oh
so
my
about
God.
63.
It started. Wow.
Yeah, it was Kennedy was killed. In fact, they ran like the first episodes when Kennedy was shot, and it killed their ratings.
Wow.
And they nearly shut down the show, and they said, give us a second chance. He can regenerate himself into an entirely new person.
Right.
With new personality traits, but still keeping some of the, sane personality traits too. So we have about 14 doctors now.
Right, wow.
All different actors have had their different, who've had their different roles. And
you know what, back, and this is related to Doctor Who, back a few years ago, I was playing one of the Tiger Woods golf games with my buddy and his cousin. And in the game, you can actually create like these golf clubs, these little resorts and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's like a cluster. You can recruit people in, and get a whole list of people and join. And every week you got these weekly things you can do and things like that. And you can name your golf club.
Okay.
And my buddy's cousin named it TARDIS.
Naturally.
And he's obviously not a Who fan. And my buddy was like, to me, he's like, what the heck is TARDIS? He's like, what kind of a name is that? I'm like, dude, it's from Doctor Who.
It means time and relative dimensions.
Right. Yeah. And I was like, your cousin's obviously a Doctor Who fan. He's like, I never even heard of it. He's like, I'm like, I don't watch Doctor Who. I said, but at least I know that much. I'm like,
I think you'd really like it. You got to binge it sometime. I'll loan you some DVDs. You got to get into it.
Yeah.
It's been a weird time in Philly. And we'll be back
we'll be crazy day today.
Talk about that soon. Just to let everybody know, we have a table at the Paranormal Expo at Selma in Norristown on June 9th and June 10th. What are you afraid of? We'll be there at the table.
Yes.
At the big Paranormal Pennsylvania Expo.
Yes.
With Bram Stoker award-winning author P.D. Casack. Trish will be there.
For a second, I thought you were going to say Bram Stoker was going to be there.
No, I wish. Yeah, he's going to be there in spirit.
Yeah. With Bram Stoker, he will be.
That Cat Gish, she'll come over and summon him up.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
We got a cool show. We're focusing on aliens tonight. We got a great interview with the special effects director at Netflix.
Nice.
And he's done some amazing films, like the special effects for them.
Right.
And he has a movie out. It's called Alien Zone of Silence. It was written by Andrew Fowler and Fidel Azramondi, and Andy did it, and it's on Netflix right now, and we've got a great interview with him coming up.
Yes, it is. I liked the movie quite a bit.
Yeah, so did I.
Actually watched it a couple times, just so I could absorb it. And what was your take on it? What did you think?
It was daring.
Yeah.
It was found footage.
Yes, it was.
It's a found footage film. It had an element of isolation to it in the desert, which is very good for certain horror films like Deserted Island kind of feeling. And it didn't give you too much information. It left you guessing.
Yes, it did. Especially the ending. You're not quite sure exactly what happens. I mean, you kind of have an idea, but of course I'm not going to give that away for anyone that wants to watch it. I liked their strategy and how they went about doing this film. Probably one of the best found footage movies I've seen. I mean, I would say it's probably up there with Blair Witch.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was a different spin.
But we're doing a different kind of show tonight in celebration of Andrew Fowler and Alien Zone of Silence. This is episode 75, Aliens Invade Philadelphia. Now, coming up next, instead of a ghost story, we have a little UFO story that actually happened to me when I was a kid.
Yeah, you were saying,
Yeah. And this is called Lights in the Sky of Levittown on What Are You Afraid of? Horror and Paranormal Show.
Lights in the Sky of Levittown. Written and experienced by T. Fox Dunham. Levittown, Pennsylvania, 1985. Read by Phil Thomas. When I was young, living in Levittown, Pennsylvania, the famous model community built with modular housing in the post-World War II era of the United States, I sometimes observed strange lights in the sky that I could not explain. This happened several times, as I was terribly anxious as a child and couldn't sleep, so I would spend some late nights sitting out on the porch by our pool, looking up at a clear and pristine night sky that still yet beheld some stars. Often, you would see the lights of jets or helicopters flying through the night, being that we were so close to Philadelphia and several military bases. This was during the end of the Cold War. Then, one night, I saw something that did not make sense aerodynamically. Two lights shot out from the horizon, seemingly flying up from some unseen launch pad in my region. Remember, this was one of the worst periods of the Cold War, and at first I thought I spotted two ICBMs ready to blow up Philadelphia and end the world. Both lights bolted like a bullet into the gloaming, then defying all laws of inertia, came to a sudden stop. For several moments, both points of light, burning brighter than any star, hung above my head and held quite still. Then, with the same instant inertia, they began to fly in straight vectors, turning at right angles, dancing and cutting straight lines across the night. I was young, but even I knew that such navigational control was beyond any current flying capacity of any human craft at that time. Planes turn in arcs and can't come to sudden stops or hover. I watched the lights paint their geometry across the sky. Then as suddenly as they appeared, both points accelerated beyond my sight. I never saw them again. Were these alien visitors journeying through our atmosphere, or test vehicles flown out of some secret facility at the Air Force Base in Willow Grove. Or perhaps both. I never found out though. I've heard stories like this over the years. Whatever they were, I knew I was seeing something special and beautiful that night.
Caliburn Press, LLC is a Madison, Wisconsin-based publishing company owned and operated by Alan Ledden. Caliburn works with talented writers, artists, editors, and marketers throughout the United States, and you can find their books through their many imprints that include Damnation Books, Eternal Press, Malaferia Press, Ciento Sordida Publishing, and Spiro Publishing. Please visit their website at sites.google.com/site/Caliburn Press LLC/home or Google Caliburn Press to check out their growing list of titles on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and any other place fine books are sold.
Your source for everything paranormal. Para X.
Mercy, a new horror medical thriller from author T. Fox Dunham, published by Bloodbound Books. Based on the author's horrific battle with a rare form of lymphoma that involved intense chemotherapy and radiation, Fox turns the horror of his experience into terror on the page.
William Saint is dying of cancer. On most days, death seems like a humane alternative to the treatment. Stricken with fever, William is rushed to Mercy, notorious as a place to send the sickest of the poor and uninsured to be forgotten, and finds the hospital in even worse condition than his previous visit.
Willie's memories faded. He grabbed his sack head, the sack head of the scarecrow, picking at the exposed chicken wire to hold them in. However, the memories fell out of the holes in his face. They wormed and crawled from the leather flesh and the old clothing of the scarecrow, then squirmed and wiggled down his body.
The grounds are unkempt, the foundation is cracking, and like the wild mushrooms sprouting from the fissures of decay around it, something is growing inside the hospital. Something dark.
Fangoria gives Mercy 3.5 out of 4 skulls. Dunham has channeled his many brushes with the other side into the exquisitely rendered, lyrical, supernatural hospital thriller Mercy.
It's feeding on the sickness and sustaining itself on the staff, changing them, and now it wants Willie.
Come now, Mr. Saint. Just a little more of that sweet milk. So salty and so good. You won't miss it. And we ever do so like our delicacies here at Mercy Hospital.
Part medical horror, part supernatural suspense, Mercy is a hard-hitting fever dream of a novel. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Tim Wagner, author of The Way of All Flesh and Eat the Night. Available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and bookstores everywhere in both print and digital versions.
Life is an addiction.
Let go. Let it all burn.
You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows, visit electronicmediacollective.com.
Nice job reading that, Phil.
Oh, thank you.
What a weird thing that happened to me.
That is crazy.
You know, it's not like, you know, an alien ship came down and picked me up and took me home.
Right.
One day I really wish it would.
You wish it would, yeah.
I know.
Be careful what you wish for, right?
Well, as long as Allison can come.
Okay, there you go, yeah.
You know, but it was just such a weird thing to see as a kid. And I don't know if I can explain it, like, was it an alien ship? But why would they be playing tag in our atmosphere?
Right.
The only thing I can think of was that it was some sort of top-secret military vehicle.
Right.
Doing tests in our atmosphere late at night, because we had the Willow Grove Air Base there.
Oh, right.
It was 1985, height of the Cold War. Willow Grove was still open.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, like, how do you explain that?
Right.
I mean, what was your reaction after the fact? I mean, were you like, terrified?
I didn't even know what I'd seen.
Right.
I just kind of looked upon the sky and, oh, that's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think about it. And then years later, as I hear these stories of UFO sightings described just like that, I was like, maybe that's what I saw.
It sounds like what it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It was just a pretty thing to watch. You know, then dancing for me.
How long did it last?
About 5 minutes.
Wow, that's a long time.
About 5 minutes.
Think about it, yeah.
And if you think about it, it's the perfect time for them to do tests.
Right.
In the middle of the night there.
Yeah.
The cover of darkness was like midnight.
That's cool. That's really cool, man.
But we're doing Aliens tonight.
Yes, we
in
are.
honor of Mr. Andrew Fowler.
Yes.
Alien Zone of Silence on Netflix. Check it out. Well, links up to it at www.whatdoyoufraidofpodcast.com. I was able to sit down with Mr. Fowler for 15 minutes. He's an incredibly busy guy.
I know.
And then you've got the written interview to him.
I did the written interview for him.
And that'll be coming up. He's working on that now. And it's just so, aliens are the thing tonight. You know, now when I say aliens, what do you think of in the past? Like, what does that associate with you?
Area 51.
Area 51, right. Roswell.
You know, those are the things that come to mind.
Mm-hmm. Like Project Blue Book.
Right.
And Majestic 12.
Yes.
Where they set up a committee to investigate all the alien sightings and put it down in this one book and said we have no conclusive evidence.
Right.
But these are UFOs. That was Project Blue Book and Majestic 12, which of course has become science fiction mythology.
Right.
You know, aliens are the ghosts of science fiction.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they are. What are you more interested in? Supernatural, specters, ghosts, things like that, or aliens?
I gotta tell you, I find it more reasonable that we are being visited by the undead, by ghosts, than we are by aliens.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, we're talking about lengths that are incomprehensible in the universe, that even with so-called warp drive would take years and years and years just to cross. Nobody, I mean, we'll invent warp drive. We would go from planet to planet to planet. It's just doesn't work that way.
But we also don't know what kind of technology they have.
Maybe
they could be thousands of years more advanced than us.
Right, that's very true. But why would they come here? What of interest would we be when we're in the Western Spiral? Basically, we're in the woods.
Right.
In the universe. We're not near anything interesting.
Yeah.
Which, if there are alien civilizations out there, maybe that's why we've never gotten invaded.
Yeah, they're just like whatever, you know?
Yeah, whatever. I can't imagine we'd be very interesting.
I mean, why would they want to invade us? What would be the point? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
The thing would be to maybe colonize our planet.
If they needed it, but there are tons of... If they have the technology to travel across space like that, they obviously have the technology to terraform a planet.
Yes.
Billions and billions of planets.
Yeah, and they don't need
40
ours.
billion.
They
don't need ours, no.
Yeah.
No, there are plenty out there that could be terraformed. And who needs a war? Just show up on a planet. And it's like thinking you've got 30 empty houses in the neighborhood, and then the one with the people with the nuclear weapons. And you need to find a place to live.
Yeah, all right.
What are you going to do?
Empty house.
You're going to do a little painting, a little fixing up.
I don't want to mess with the people with the nuclear weapons. I'll just leave them alone. And
To all aliens in space, Mars is a fixer-upper now on sale. Special, get it now, the Red Planet.
Yes, and it's free of charge.
For free of charge. We'll mortgage it out to you. Fixer-upper, just come on out. You know, you can flip it.
Yeah, right.
It'd be like house flipping for Mars. Oh, I think I just got a short story idea.
Mars flipping.
Mars flipping.
There you go.
That's our next show, Mars flipping.
Mars flipping, yeah.
But there have been some very interesting sightings around Philadelphia, and these are sightings that I discovered while investigating and doing research on various news sites, various newspapers, various UFO sites. It's amazing how many there were, and these were just some of the more recent in 2018 and some in 2017. You know, and this is our new segment. Ready? Alien news.
Is it alien news or alien reports?
Oh, I like alien reports news.
Yeah.
It's kind of alien reports. See, we got the alien news like clown news and turkey news.
Right.
But alien reports.
Alien reports.
Yeah, we're taking this to a new level of sophistication.
Let's do it.
Let's do it, alien reports. Cue that jingle.
Alien reports.
There it goes. Yeah, whatever it is. Boop, 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 boop.
Love that jingle.
Yeah.
That's our new jingle.
That's the new jingle?
That's our new jingle, yeah.
So you want to start us off, Phil?
Yeah. So like last month, actually, Pittsburgh, January of 2018, you know, there was a family that actually saw 3 red dots flying around in the sky, going in different formations that formed a triangle.
Okay.
They quickly disappeared and reappeared off and on.
Yeah.
And it lasted a couple minutes, actually.
Just kind of like in Lancaster. Around that same time, a man reported seeing this large blue dome shaped. It was flying on the horizon. It was glowing, and after a few minutes, it just kind of vanished.
Oh, wow.
Like a flying whale.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez, man. Just in time for Christmas, December past year, there was a man who was with his girlfriend driving down the highway. It was actually 3 Mile Island.
Okay. Wow. The nuclear power plant that went up in the 70s.
Yeah, exactly. Right in PA. And there was this cinder object that looked like it was kind of made like a metallic, had a metallic appearance. And it appeared above them, and then I guess it did its thing and just disappeared.
Just did its thing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Santa.
Yeah, and it was maybe 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Something like that.
It just kind of appeared. These are actual calls that have been
These
called
are,
in.
yes.
And you know what? If they were a hook, I think they'd be a little more detailed.
Right, yeah.
You know, that's what they're just very light on detail. Like from East Stroudsburg.
There's no lasers coming out or anything.
Right, exactly. Nobody's showing up. No Darth Vader with his lightsaber.
Right.
So, reported from East Stroudsburg, there was a married couple. This is in December 2017. They were walking to their vacation home. I don't know who has a vacation home in East Stroudsburg.
Right.
But they were watching the sky and they saw a burning red object appear in the sky. And she called somebody, and they said they could see it too. And after about 10 minutes, it sort of flew off. Now, that could have been a meteorite.
Right, yeah, that could have been.
That sounds like a meteorite to me, but we don't know. Now, you got one from Philly, right?
Yeah. In November of 2017, actually. I guess there was a group of friends, and they noticed this vertical line. It was bright, and it was moving diagonally right towards them. So, it lasted a while, though, 20 minutes.
God, wow.
Before it actually took off.
Right.
20 long minutes, that's a long time.
Right.
Because
when aliens come, they're flying a flat plane.
Right.
Who knows? Maybe it's dimensional.
Maybe it is. Yeah,
maybe that's what they're doing. They're crossing dimensions.
That's right.
Also in Philly, in November that same month, around the same area, friends watched like a strobe light flashing brightly above them in the sky.
Right.
So I'm not sure what that was. Disco aliens.
That's Disco Inferno.
Disco Inferno aliens. Yeah, I like that.
So in December, there was a bunch of witnesses reported seeing this triangle. It was hovering above, right above them. It had round lights blinking.
Okay.
Round ends of the triangle. It was
like,
pretty
like blinking and
at the round ends.
Notice these are all geometric shapes.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Well, they're the basic units of nature, but I guess when they come, they're going to come in geometry.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
They're going to come in geometry. Apparently, that's the secret to interstellar travel. Is a triangle or a cube or something.
And it was apparently it was very bright.
Okay.
And it lasted a few minutes. It didn't really fly anywhere. It just kind of dipped. Just kind of dipped down, then just floated away, sort of.
And sometimes, you see, the way it dips like that could also be a satellite coming down the low re-entry. It looks like it's dipping, and then it'll just go back out.
Yeah, that's true.
That could be a so in Long Pond, witnesses also in November 2017. This is all very recent. Watched a black cylinder like a cigar hover in the sky, making no noises. Lights pulsed on both ends, and it rotated for like 10 minutes. And not only did they see it, but there was severe radio interruption.
Really?
On their FM radio.
Wow. Oh, well.
Yeah. Huh. But if they're going to fly a cigar, they could at least get one of those, the vapes.
The vapes, yeah.
They're going to fly some vapes down.
You're going to get a vape pen, right? I tried. It doesn't work. Not for me. The e-cigarettes I can do, but not the vape pen. That didn't do it for me. But anyway, also November 2017 in Parkland. Okay, people also noticed a strange rectangle pattern in the sky. There was a number of lights that pulsed on the shape, and there was a loud noise. It sounded something like a military vehicle,
or something.
Yeah. Maybe a stealth bomber.
A stealth bomber. Maybe. I don't know. I'm really hoping the stealth bomber, you can't hear it coming.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because everybody in some poor defenseless country that can't attack us back is going to just run when they hear it coming. I think that's a design flaw.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, December 2017, again, it's the last few months, in Auburn, PA, witnesses reported seeing strange discs at night that flew for about 20 minutes.
Wow.
Bright lights flashed with the discs, like pulsed.
Oh, wow.
And then it kind of sort of flew over this dense wood and vanished.
Interesting.
Maybe it landed.
Maybe it did. Yeah.
Maybe that's my ride.
Yeah, it's waiting for you.
It's waiting for me.
It's been parked there for a couple months now. So,
yeah, I always knew.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well. So in Philadelphia, where we had our Eagles parade today.
Oh, yes.
This didn't happen today, though. This happened back in November. Witnesses, they noticed a dark object that was completely obscuring the moon. And it kind of moved slowly over the city. Hovered there for quite a while and then just disappeared. That sounds, it blocked the moon. That does seem creepy to me.
Well, let me tell you something.
On purpose?
if the aliens were coming today to Philly, they weren't getting in.
No, they weren't getting into Philly today, yeah. No,
we had a huge parade.
Huge Philadelphia Eagles parade all the way down Broad Street.
Congratulations, Eagles. Our first Super Bowl win.
First Super Bowl
And you ever notice we all take credit for it?
I know, we do. We say we don't say they.
No, we take they. We
don't say they, we say we.
Yeah.
None of us, even though you and I, and none of the fans have played actually in the game.
No, I was there watching it on telly, and if I hadn't been, they never would have been able to win.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. And I think there's a Philly theme, this idea that the more beer the fans drink, the better they'll do.
Okay, yeah.
There's some sort of osmosis,
there's a lot of superstitions when it comes to sports and football and stuff. Case in point, at the Super Bowl party, my buddy's Super Bowl party.
Your birthday party too?
And it was my birthday party. My birthday literally was Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah.
I know I was sitting on the sofa with someone else, and one of the people that was there, one of the guests, they had to leave at halftime, which is okay, right?
Yeah.
So that seat was open. So I moved up. And then the Eagles, when the second half came back on, the Eagles weren't doing quite as well.
Yeah, right.
And my buddy was like, you need to move back to where you were. I'm not joking. I am not joking.
Oh, no.
I had a much better seat when that person left.
Yeah.
I was much closer to the TV.
He was like, dude, you changed something.
He was like, dude, something ain't, they're not doing as well now. I'm like, seriously, I have to give up a better seat in the living room because you're superstitious. I'm like, you know what? And I did. I was like, I'll do it if it makes you happy. So I moved back to the sofa.
This Philadelphia tweet went out. Whatever everybody was doing before halftime, get your asses back there now.
right. Oh my goodness.
Well, one last
you
know
thing. What? It is what it is.
One last thing. This is in Norristown.
Okay.
Where we are going to be on June 9th and 10th at the Paranormal Expo at Selma.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get tickets online. We'll have links for that up at www.whatareyoufraidofpodcast.com. It's the first annual Paranormal Expo at Selma. And that will be at 1305 W. Airy Street in Norristown. Go on Facebook, type it in, find it. Admission tickets for the event are $10 per day. Children under 12 are free. There are tons of lectures. There are going to be some great paranormal investigators. And you can see the mansion. Apparently it's haunted. There's a cat in the hall, and the old servants walk up on the stair. And we'll be bringing you more about the Selma Mansion as we approach in June.
Right.
But in Norristown, the last one, witnesses in December 2017 again, they saw 4 crimson spheres hovering and bouncing in the sky for about 10 minutes.
Wow.
And the lights blinked and winked and then winked off.
Interesting.
And then it went over the goalpost. And we won the Super Bowl. We won the Super Bowl. Thank you, aliens. Thank you, space monkeys, like David Letterman used to say when Independence Day was coming out. It was thank you, space monkeys.
Space monkeys.
Well, that was Alien Reports.
Alien Report.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Cue that jingle. That's the new jingle.
That's right.
We got a great song from a group called The Very Most. Alien Girl on What Are You Afraid of? Horror and Paranormal Show.
everything paranormal. Para X.
Dark was the night, cold was the ground. Written by Blind Willie Johnson. Also one of the songs recorded on the Voyager spacecraft. It was a remarkable movie, and we're talking tonight with the director, Andrew Fowler. How are you this evening, Mr. Fowler?
I'm very good indeed. Thank you very much for asking.
Thank you for being on the show. Jumping right in, Phil and I love the movie, and of course it's on Netflix, so we've watched it a few times, and it's nice to find a found footage film with a fresh voice and pacing. This was your directorial debut, correct?
Correct, absolutely.
Why a found footage film about aliens?
It was interesting. The concept of the film, I wanted to create something sort of slightly different in terms of tone and I guess direction for this type of movie was fascinated me. I'm a fan of the found footage genre. Obviously, such things as Blair Witch obviously really stoked my interest in the usual, along with probably half the globe. But I really wanted to find some way of bringing it up to date. And I kind of was wrestling with the concept for some time of how, if we were to try and do this and keep it pure, how would one go about sort of taking what effectively as we talked, it was said is a very well trodden sort of methodology and framework, and bring it into the sort of into the modern day, potentially with streaming and all the other new tools that we have to hand, etc. So, for me, it was really a great challenge to try and lay out a story that felt organic, that felt true, felt honest to the technology. And it was a real opportunity to look into those areas of storytelling where, this could lend itself well. And I thought, certainly this type of environment, aliens, the remote desert, heroine on her own in that world could be a great way of telling that story.
You certainly cross over the boundaries of horror and science fiction. You've got all the wonderful atmospheric elements such as solitude and isolation, regret and mystery as she goes searching into the desert to find out what happened 5 years before. But of course she's using the found footage to find out what happened.
Yep. Part of the challenge, one of the actually greatest challenges which I really enjoyed here, was to find a way of bringing together the past and the present and to make it feel cohesive. And so finding a way of sort of weaving that into the story that felt kind of natural and true to the technology and the storytelling was a real challenge. But, as I say, having that thread of obviously her brother disappearing and obviously finding that material in the desert and working in, I guess you could say, in rewind and introducing those characters early on and effectively joining the story halfway through in the titles allow me to play and work with the timelines in kind of an interesting way, which I kind of for me was the challenge, but also the fun part.
Excellent, and very well done too, if we might say so, sir. Now, you, sir, have an impressive career looking at your IMDb, and I know that you've done visual effects most of your career for movies like The 300, The Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian, San Andreas, Noah. I saw Noah, and I was quite impressed by your work on Noah.
Thank you.
Very, very well done there. And, I mean, you go back to Lara Croft Tomb Raider and Lost in Space and movies that I've sort of grown up with and enjoyed. What was it like directing your first film, finally getting your hands on the helm?
It was, for me, invigorating. And I've obviously had the fun part in filmmaking sometimes is having that real-time engagement with real people and something that you don't necessarily have too much of in the VFX space. Everything we do takes such a long time, that's really sometimes tough to keep up the energy. But when you're working with actors, you're on set and everyone's kind of riffing and vibing together, it's a very different process, obviously, and it's really engaging. And I really love, that process, I guess, and just that experience. It felt natural for me. I like working with people anyway. So this, to me, was just a way of it just enhancing that experience. And Sarah, who plays Morgan, was great fun, so professional, and just working with people like that and having that ability to work in real time, which is rare in the VFX space, for me was just invigorating.
Indeed, and it shows in the film. So what was the process like developing and producing the film from concept to distribution?
This movie kind of took a long time to make. I mean, I had the concept as an idea, as a German idea many, many years ago, and then got really busy, unfortunately, working on movies. I worked with my producing partners, Jorge and Marcos, to help me sort of find the team to bring it together and to get it going. But it took this movie really, I wouldn't say followed the typical kind of pipeline for making a film. We did sort of film some, edit some, go see what we're missing, develop the story a little bit more. Actually, it sounds like a typical film process these days, but this is done over such a protracted time period. I literally made Noah in between this movie. So, I wouldn't say this was a typical sort of pipeline or process for making a film, but the reality was obviously being, having to fit in obviously other projects around, I had to find creative ways of bridging those time gaps, of bringing those people together into the same timeline, even though they're shot many years apart. All the material of Goose, in his layer was the last thing that we shot. And, the Sarah material was shot some 3 years before. So working and trying to glue all that together, and obviously just from a performance standpoint, sort of having to weave that thread and keep it feeling cohesive was real fun. But hey, what can I say? It wasn't a typical process. I wrote an initial concept for the idea. Partly, actually, initially, I liked the idea of it being not scripted at all, i.e., giving a camera to the actress or whoever it might have been at the time and say, go off and this is the scenario, this is what's happened, go and film yourself and come back with footage and let's see what it looks like. But as we sort of went down that road, we felt we needed more control and ultimately sort of went a little bit more traditional with, obviously some semblance of a crew and some semblance of typical due process of filmmaking. But there was a real element here of an organic process. We wrote a script, we kept to some kind of outline and just kept improving it over time as the cut came together. And I had the luxury to do that, which is great.
That's fantastic. Lloyd Kaufman, I don't know if you're familiar with his work. He's at Trum Entertainment. He did The Toxic Avenger. Lloyd, he was on the show in October, one of our best shows, and he lamented and raved about the death of indie film and net neutrality and corporate filmmaking as opposed to the indie process. And he even said organizations like Netflix and Hulu are the only place where a filmmaker and author can free innovate anymore. What was your experience like making this movie as opposed to working on such a big budget film as Noah or The 300?
Well, it's interesting working, obviously on a big feature with lots of key VFX sequences requires a lot of planning, for sure. And, the success of any VFX sequence really comes down to planning, I would say, getting ahead of the curve. And that's very different, certainly when putting together this film. Although, look, all film requires preparation. And even on a, with an indie film where you've got, obviously storyline, it's important that your actors know what to do and say and where they are in the story to best, obviously, emote where they need to be at any given time. So, but certainly with big feature stuff, when you've got 200-300 people hanging around a camera, the pressures are very different. So, look, it's chalk and cheese, as we say in England, and very, very different experiences. And both really enjoyable for different reasons. Obviously on a big feature working with Darren on Noah, you can play with a lot of the toys because you can afford to, and they're all to hand. Obviously with an indie film, you find different ways of doing things because you don't have the toys, and that's part of the fun too. So they both offer up, I would say, great experiences, but just at very different ends of the spectrum.
So where did the funding come from?
Yeah, so the funding was handled very well by my producer, Jorge Garcia, and Marco Fine. They brought on board some key investors that obviously helped. Obviously, without them, we would never have made this movie. Marcos and Jorge were responsible for sort of finding the investors. I mean, I had a script, I had an idea, I didn't have money. But then, there was a colleague of mine who I was working with a little bit at the time, and he provided me some seed money just to get the idea off the ground, provided a little bit of time for me to go and find some additional investors, with Marcus's and Jorge's help. But obviously, making an indie film, finding that finance is tough. But thanks to those guys, they did a great job. And you film, you run out of money, you have to raise some more money. And it was a continual process. And you never have enough money. And I ended up finishing a lot of the film myself and did some of the visual effects myself. And so, indie filmmaking is a challenge. There are fun parts of the job, i.e., trying to be clever and smart about the way of getting something done for no money, but that's the fun part. But it's also the tough part as well. It's a kind of a love-hate relationship, I think, in that respect.
It's a process that I'm really beginning to appreciate as John Bosher begins to dig into the funding for The Street Martyr, and I'm on pins and needles, as you can imagine, and it does take a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it really does. There's no shortcut, that's for sure. And when you don't have the money, up front, and you are going through that, more of a stage growth as you work your way through the movie, through the pipeline of the process. Not having the money can be debilitating for some people and can put a handbrake on the show, and that's what a lot of shows do end up falling through. And John and Chris and Marcos and Jorge all were part of that great team to just keep that momentum going.
Yeah, I often tell people that the most important quality for any indie artist to have is faith.
Yep, absolutely. As in George, you got to have faith.
So what do you do at Netflix?
I'm taking on board the initiative for VFX production here. So, I've been here about a year, and I have a great team here now working with me, but I'm sort of overseeing all the VFX for Netflix's own originals. So, obviously help on the studio side, on the exec side, help manage all the shows that have anything that from a VFX standpoint. So I've been working on the studio side of things for a while, although I was on the production side for Noah and 300. I also work for Disney feature production on the studio side as well. I also work for New Regency on the studio side as well, managing the Revenant and from the exec side of things. But always my job entails really helping manage and bring the right people and shepherding all those shows from a VFX standpoint through the creative and production pipeline.
Most impressive. What is the process? Okay, we do a lot of support for new authors, new artists, new filmmakers who are trying to find their way through a wildly changing industry, of course. Cable live streaming has changed the work environment and the industry so much that a lot of us are still trying to... We know there's a door somewhere to get through to start working with these people. We just have no idea where that door is. So one of the things we do is try to provide advice from experienced filmmakers such as yourself. So let's say somebody wanted to start working with Netflix. They had story ideas, or they wanted to go and write for an existing series, or just get involved with Netflix creativity. How does that process begin?
I would say, in terms of my role at Netflix, it's very separate to creative development and on that side of the artist and talent side of things. But one thing's for sure, Netflix, and all of those in the business, obviously just looking for great ideas, and great ideas hopefully that have had some some thought and effort attached to them, usually a script or some semblance of planning. However, look, I wouldn't say there's one size fits all or any one solution to working and presenting work to companies like Netflix, Disney, or whoever it might be. I think, if you have a great idea, obviously getting it in front of someone is always tough, of course, and contacts help. But, look, there is I would not say there's any one particular process for that. It's often, unfortunately, with any industry that you work in, it's a little bit of who you know. A little bit of obviously the agents work very hard to sort of present ideas and get them in front of, the creative executives here or whoever it might be. And that's the same at any studio. So agents play a massive role, obviously, in sort of seeding those ideas and getting them into the pipe. Yeah, it's there is no. I wish there was one answer for that, but there isn't. It's often through a lot of people that within the industry, connections of agents, all the usual sort of pipeline in terms of getting ideas in front of someone. There is no one solution, unfortunately.
What is the future of indie film?
Goodness. Well, look, one thing I would say, from a Netflix perspective, I'm not an official spokesman for Netflix. I want to make that clear. I work for Netflix, but I'm not not saying that I'm sort of repeating anything that isn't already out there. Netflix work actively with a lot of independent filmmakers. We have a very rich slate, in the indie business, working with filmmakers globally. So so I would say that the indie space has never looked better in a way with Hulu, Amazon, us, Apple, Facebook, YouTube, all the streaming giants on the market looking for great material. So I would say the indie space is probably looking extremely promising and is already extremely vibrant as a result of the new kids on the block.
This has been incredible, and it's been so great speaking to you. And for our fans, yet again, the name of the movie is Aliens, Zone of Silence. It's on Netflix now, so definitely check it out. We've been speaking with Andy Fowler, an impressive man and probably one of our best guests on What Are You Afraid of Horror and Paranormal show. And you can find more information up about Mr. Fowler, links to his work, and links to the movie itself at www.whatareyouafraidofpodcast.com, where you can find all of our previous 2 shows. Mr. Fowler, thank you so much for speaking with us. It's been enlightening and exciting.
Oh, no, I appreciate the opportunity, and thanks for looking at the movie. I appreciate it. Thank you.
We've all experienced messages from beyond the silver veil, whether we want to admit it or not. Some people take no notice, ignoring these outreaches. Others embrace them, seeing them as evidence of an expanded universe. Whether these stories frighten or comfort, we are reassured.
The mission of What Are You Afraid of? Horror and Paranormal show is to explore the dark side through paranormal investigation, folklore, and the arts. The show is an audio magazine. We share true ghost stories, dark fiction, interviews with ghost hunters and indie authors, filmmakers, artists, and musicians. We discuss industry issues and offer support. We have a unique and varied theme that creates a show unlike others.
Our weekly show is featured on all major podcast services, including iHeartRadio, iTunes, and YouTube. We are a part of ParaX Radio.
We need your true ghost experiences. So write them down in an email, preferably under 2,000 words, which comes to about 3 or 4 typed pages, and send them to whatareyouafraidof117@gmail.com. Please don't attach them as a file. And don't worry about trying to write like Charles Dickens. Just tell us your story as if you were telling a friend. And if you're not sure if it's actually a ghost story or not, but it's still weird, send it anyway. Also send us your photos, EVPs, recipes, your thoughts, and any artwork.
Check out our website at www.whatareyouafraidofpodcast.com for our ghost story archives, articles, photos, and expanded material. And you can buy t-shirts, mugs, laptop covers, and animals apparently with our logo on it. Follow us at Twitter at PFWhatAfraidOf. That's PFWhatAfraidOf.
You cannot escape the darkness, so explore it with us now at
What Are You Afraid Of?
Rat, where are you going?
I'm going back to the Paranormal View, back where I belong.
Please, take me with you.
No, I'm through with everything here. I want to see if there's something left in life I haven't explored. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Rat, don't run to them. They talk about ghosts and hauntings, UFOs, and all kind of supernatural scary stuff.
You'll never understand, will you, Scarlet?
No!
Well, that's your misfortune.
Rat, if you go, where shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear... Line!
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
That's the Paranormal View with your host, Henry Foister, Jeffrey Gould, Kat Cloco, and Barbara Duncan. Every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the ParaX Radio Network.
Alien Girl from Very Most. Started in Boise, Idaho by Jeremy Jensen. They just enjoy rock and indie music.
Yeah.
Thanks for the song, guys.
Yes, thank you
We appreciate it. We all links up to them on the website at www.whatareyouafraidofpodcast.com. And that was an incredible interview with Mr. Fowler.
Yeah, it was.
You know, he's such a charming guy.
Yeah, he definitely...
He's got the accent, he's got the charm, he's got the intelligence.
Yeah.
And what people don't realize is Alien Zones of Silence took years to make. Because they were constantly looking for funding.
Right.
Constantly trying to get in. Like, the actors stayed with it. Fortunately, it was such a small cast.
Right.
That they could reassemble them when they needed to.
That's great, yeah.
And we're working on getting the actress, Sarah Hester, on the show.
Yeah, that'd be great. We can get her and interview her.
Mm-hmm.
That would be awesome. And like you were just saying, funding is always the tricky part. That's always the bump in the road.
Right.
Is the funding, The passion's there, the screenplay's there, the actors, everything's there, but then you need that money.
Yeah.
To make it good.
And indie funding, it's tough.
It is.
It's tough, especially he was doing this before Kickstarter and crowdfunding.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a new model for them.
Right.
It's hard to...
With crowdfunding, like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, whatnot, nothing's guaranteed. You might not even hit your goal, and then you get nothing.
Right.
There's other options out there that you can get like half or whatever, something like that. But the original model, at the very least, was, if you set it, if you don't make it, then everyone gets their money back.
Right.
And you get nothing.
Right.
And that's tough. Let's say you set something for $20,000 and you get 19,000.
Right. Then that's it. You're almost there.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
But that's why it's always better to, I think, set lower.
Set lower, and then maybe do a couple of goals and levels. Right. We want to shoot the next scene, so we need 5,000 for that. Right. Then the next scene when that's done.
Exactly.
That seems to be the way it's going now.
Yes.
But it was a great film, and we'll be doing more with them in the future. Check them out on Netflix. Alien Zones of Silence. It came out in January.
Yeah, it did.
And you can see his special effects works in the movies like The 300, Noah, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I mean, he's an incredibly talented guy.
Yeah, he's done a lot.
And he did Stranger Things too.
I know.
That freaked you out.
It freaked me out in a good way. I was really excited to hear that because I'm a huge fan of Stranger Things. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, it was very impressive.
Yeah, we're touching, we're getting up there.
Yeah, we are.
We really. I mean, I was contacted by a great media agent a few days ago, and she represents a lot of different psychics who have books out, people that have been on shows like Oprah and Montel,
right.
And they're coming on What Are You Afraid Of?
I know.
So, Oprah, Montel, The Daily Show, What Are You Afraid Of in Philadelphia?
That's right.
You're home for horror. Well, Phil, we got a few minutes left, so when you think about aliens in science fiction, like in movies and books, what do you think of?
What comes to mind?
Yeah, what's their impression?
Well, I think my very first exposure to a movie that really, I'm not going to even talk about the Alien movie, that's not it. Yeah. As far as space and things like that, I would say Close Encounters.
Close Encounters. So you had a positive.
Yeah.
Your first encounter with aliens was positive.
It was positive, because that's a positive movie.
That's an optimistic movie.
It is. It's very optimistic. And then you also got, on the flip side of it, you got Independence Day, where they're just here to just destroy, annihilate us, But that wasn't my first, it was my first exposure to them, though.
And of course, Star Wars.
And Star Wars, yeah. But
that was a space opera, not aliens invade Earth.
Right. I was in a galaxy far, far away from us.
Right.
Am
I
allowed to say that?
When you look at science fiction, the majority of alien material is usually they're evil and want to destroy us.
Yeah.
And I think that starts with War of the Worlds. H.G. Wells.
Right.
And what H.G. Wells was trying to do was expose what the British were doing to its colonies.
Right.
Saying you can basically commit genocide in places like India or South Africa because you're stronger technologically. But what happens if someone shows up that's stronger than the British Empire?
Right.
And he compared it to like humans and bunnies. What happens when the British Empire become the ones that are being exploited and killed by something even more powerful?
Right.
And he was trying to show people and gain that kind of empathy. Like, yes, the shoe could be on the other foot. Where it kind of started, this idea that, in nature, if something's more evolved, it's going to wipe out the lesser species.
Right, exactly.
And right now, we're the most evolved thing on the planet. But, Heinlein's work. Childhood's End. Have you read Childhood's End?
No, I haven't.
One of the most incredible books in history.
Really?
And, in fact, Sci-Fi Channel did an amazing miniseries, 3-part miniseries.
Oh, okay.
Which Allison, my wife, watched. She's not a big science fiction fan, but she really loves this one.
That's great.
And the concept is these overlords show up in these ships and basically say, your life as free human beings is over. And there's no war because they demonstrate their technology at such high purpose that everyone just looks at it and says, we can't do anything. We're done. They're not here to destroy humanity. They're here to shepherd them into the next state of evolution.
Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting.
Yeah, you'd love this, Phil. This is an amazing book.
Really?
And it's basically where all the alien invasion movies copied.
Oh.
Like Independence Day is basically, if you read it, it's just like Childhood's End, except for they just kill everybody. This is the archetype.
What year did that book come out?
Well, that was the 60s.
Okay.
Yeah, but it speaks today.
It's called
Childhood's End. Yeah, if I could find my copy. The miniseries on Sci-Fi Channel was spectacular. So read the book and then see the miniseries.
Yeah, so maybe I can look at that miniseries. I'd rather read the book first. So
yeah. You'll find it's on Amazon and stuff.
Nice.
It's very good. But that's past due my favorite. And Allison loves Childhood's End. She loves Corellan in it. And there's a lot of secrets and twists. And
that sounds great.
Yeah, I think that's the archetype.
Nice.
Probably what would happen. It's not very optimistic. In fact, Heinlein goes out to say it's not what he believes will happen. Right. It's not his view of the universe. But it's pressing at the end.
Right.
When you read it and you see what happens, it's the end of humanity.
Oh, boy.
In one way or another. This has been a really fun show.
Oh, I really enjoyed this show.
The aliens, we kind of jumped on, so I think we'll add aliens to our...
Yeah, we should. Yeah.
It's always something I wanted to get to.
Yeah. We've been doing the show for a couple years.
Yeah, 3 years now.
Almost 3 years. Yeah.
We're in. Yeah, it's 2018, and here we are.
That's right.
There's so much.
We've been doing it for, I guess, 2.5 years, something like that.
Yeah,
right? This is the first time we ever really touched on aliens.
Just because it's such an expansive topic.
Yeah.
But we wanted to do that because, remember everybody, Aliens, Zone of Silence.
Mm-hmm.
Check it out on Netflix. I'm sure you can find it elsewhere too. Thank you, Mr. Andrew Fowler. What a remarkable guest to have on the show. And we'll be bringing you that written interview as soon as he's done it at the website at www.whatareyouafraidofpodcast.com. Phil did that interview.
I did that interview.
Yeah, it's a very good interview. It'd make a nice article.
Thank you. Yeah.
Remind everybody, we'll be at the Paranormal Expo at Selma on June 9th and June 10th. Find links at the website, if you want to come out and hang out with us and all the other ghost hunters and share your stories.
Yeah.
And thank you the very most for Alien Girl.
I'll always love discovering new bands.
Yeah, and that's what we'd like to do here. Well, it's been cool, Phil.
Oh, it's been great, Fox.
This is episode 75, Aliens Invade Philadelphia. And I'm T. Fox Dunham.
And I'm Phil Thomas.
Looking at the room with my alien eyes on. Looking at the room with my alien eyes on. Looking at the room with my alien eyes on. Looking at the room with my alien eyes on. Sitting in my cave, smoking radium sulfide. Catch a purple snake by a vermilion platform. Send a silver bullet to the Martian conjunction. That's what we are neoconservatives. Sitting in my cave, smoking radium sulfide. Catch a purple snake by a vermilion platform. Send a silver bullet to the Martian conjunction. That's what we call neoconservatives.
Mars is a fixer-upper now on sale. Special, get it now. T. Fox Dunham lives in Philadelphia with his wife Allison. He's a lymphoma survivor, cancer patient, modern bard and historian. His first book, The Street Martyr, was published by Gutter Book. A major motion picture based on the book is being produced by Throughline Films. Destroying the Tangible Illusion of Reality or Searching for Andy Kaufman, a book about what it's like to be dying of cancer,
was recently released from Perpetual Motion Machine Publishing, and Fox is a story in the Stargate anthology, Points of Origin, from MGM and Fandemonium Books. Mercy was recently released by Bloodbound Books. Fox is an active member of the Harvard Association. He's been published in hundreds of short stories and articles, and his motto is Wrecking Civilization, one story at a time.
Phil Thomas resides in the suburbs of Philadelphia and is an author and filmmaker. His screenplays have been produced into feature films such as False Face and Always from Darkness that are available in major retailers such as Best Buy and Target, as well as availability on Netflix and Amazon On Demand.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.